Good morning. Low network connection.
I have these two.
Good morning. I'm blessed and grateful to be in recovery. My name is Dr. Felice Cellini, and this is our Why Wait for Recovery Sunday morning recovery community meeting. Welcome.
Hi, morning. My name's Heidi, and I'm blessed and grateful to be in recovery. I'm a compulsive overeater. I'm an emotional eater. I'm a binger. I'm a purger. I'm a serial dieter, and I'm also a drug addict in recovery.
I'm a drug addict, alcoholic, anorexic in recovery. Welcome.
And we get together every Sunday. We join up. We meet in Fat Village.
Fat
in
Village is the name of the
room.
place that we're in, believe it or not.
And
We're in the war room in Fat Village.
So people come in and join us at the table, and we're two friends in recovery. We live stream our little chats and our conversations, and this is how we get to learn from each other about recovery, what it looks like, and how to get it. People also join us virtually.
On Zoom.
So if you're part of our Facebook community, which is What's Eating You, one of the perks of membership is you just hop on. It's a free membership. You say you're a member when you say you are, and join the conversation.
Okay, so this morning we're going to converse about, what are we conversing about this morning?
So we're talking about how no one understands us, between the husbands, the kids, the significant others, the sisters, the mothers,
Including ourselves.
right, and that is why I use.
It's why you used.
Why I use it.
Right.
Yeah,
Or
it's
used
like
it today, right?
No, I haven't used it
Neither
for
one of
a
us
long
used
time.
today.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's really, let's discuss that. Relationships are always interesting in recovery.
Okay, so here's the thing, you guys. We get better in recovery, and we work on ourselves in recovery, and we're doing our best to do our best once we've stepped into recovery, and then we expect, because we've changed, that everybody else is going to change as well. Correct?
Right.
And we're at it.
Doesn't that
So that
happen?
needs to happen the second that that's happening to me, it needs to happen that exact second for everybody else, who I personally have done my best to mess up my relationship with in the first place, right?
Yeah. So I always thought that I was that powerful, that the whole world revolved around me, and when I walked into the room, everyone was looking at me, and then I'd be really uncomfortable. Because I thought everyone was looking at me, and I thought I could control my kids and my husband and my friends and my clients, and the list is a long list of the things I thought I could control. I thought I was this all-powerful thing that was in control of the universe, and the thoughts I thought were so powerful that I got punished if I was doing something wrong, and the universe was conspiring against me because that's how powerful I was.
Yeah, so we call that self-centered. So we
You're
believe
calling me self-centered?
Absolutely. Yeah, so we call that self-centered. So when we're the center of the universe and everything that we do is so important, and we need to be understood by everybody, and we need to control everything around us, we're living in fantasy land, because that just doesn't happen.
So my go-to behavior is passive-aggressive. So I become, when I don't get my way, because I really believe that my husband is a mind reader and he should know the thoughts, because don't you know, whatever I'm thinking, everyone just picks up on. And when you don't act the way that I think you should, or you don't say the things the way that you should say to me, I get very hurt and very indignant.
Yes, you do get
And
indignant.
then I become very passive-aggressive. And my behaviors become something that really, at the end of the day, make me feel uncomfortable, guilty, and ashamed.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing, you guys. When our behavior, when our outsides don't match up with our insides, when we want the best, but we're not doing the best, we're not doing our best, we walk around miserable and afraid. And when I'm trying to control how you feel about me, I'm setting myself up for disappointment, because you are who you are, right? You're not who I want you to be. You are who you are. And I need to realize, one of our goals in recovery is to realize that we are who we are, and that that's okay. That as long as we're doing our best, that's okay. And the rest of the universe is going to turn the rest of the way that the rest of the universe turns, and that I have no control over that.
And I had bariatric surgery 2 years ago, and there were a couple of things that came up. One is I didn't think people understood it. I put a lot of power in other people's thoughts and what they thought of it. The reason I did it was my reasons, and I was sick. Really, I was very, very ill, and that was my last resort. That was my rehab in a sense.
It was her bottom.
It was my
Right.
bottom, okay, and that was the best solution that I could come up for me at that stage. But I also carried a lot of shame and guilt about it because it took me a long time to tell people, and some people don't tell people, and that's okay. This is my story. I can only talk from my experience. And part of that is when I did first start telling people, they didn't understand. And then I started internalizing it, and I'd feel bad, and I'd walk around with the shame and guilt because you didn't like what I was doing, or because of what you said, or the way that you reacted, or the tone that you used to me, got me my nose put out of joint.
And you cared what they thought because why?
Because I wanted my insides to match their outsides,
Or something like that.
Yeah.
Because their opinion of you is what made your opinion of you.
Right, 100%. So what happened was that created enough chaos in my world for me to justify why it was okay to keep using. And also that was the way that I'd done things for 42 years.
Mm-hmm.
It was the same behaviors that I'd used for so long, and the same thought process, because my behaviors are governed by my thinking.
So we're going to go back to that fear thing, you guys. So every negative emotion that we have is fear-based, right? And so fear is, I'm afraid of losing what I have, or I'm afraid of not getting what I want. And we talk about this just about every single meeting because it is the driving force, or that emotion, behind every one of our negative emotions. And so I had bariatric surgery. I didn't, but let's say I had bariatric surgery. I was in treatment for 6 months, and that everybody knows too. But so I had bariatric surgery, and instead of shouting it from the rooftops, like, hey, guess what? I just took the first step in getting well. I just put myself in a treatment center so that I could get well. Good me, right? Instead, I'm worried that you might think that I was weak or that I took the easy way out. So I'm not going to tell you. Who cares if you think I'm weak? And who cares if you think I took the easy way out? I went ahead and did something to better myself, to put myself in a position where I could stay clean so that I could step into some kind of recovery. So who cares what somebody else thinks about it? Remember, when I'm caring about what you're thinking about me, it's because I have no actual opinion of myself. I have no good feelings about myself. And so those are some of the things that we work on when we're, a really big part of what we work on when we're working on our recovery is that my inside is my inside, and you can't make me feel any way at all that I get to do all by myself.
So what happens for me in terms of my journey, it became a lot easier associating with the people that weren't necessarily honest with me because I wasn't honest with myself. So I could keep doing the things that I was doing before. So
Like lying? Are we
like
talking about
lying to myself
Talking about
constantly
lying.
and using and justifying it in different ways. So my thinking is such that I'm an addict. For me it's a disease. It's not a choice. I didn't wake up one day and go, oh, today I'll be an addict and I'll beat myself up and be the biggest bully I know and just really make myself miserable. And it's not something that I chose to do.
You didn't choose to demoralize yourself every day?
And feel guilty and ashamed. Do you know what? There's got to be a better way, So it's something that's part of my thinking. My brain operates differently. It lies to me. It tells me different stories. For whatever reason, who knows, but that's the way it's always been.
Right, and that's a thing, and that's the way it is, so we could all accept that. I mean, everybody in this room and a lot of people that watch accept the fact that their brain's wired a little bit differently than somebody else's brains, and that's a thing, and so, okay, that is what it is. Does it make me a victim? No, it doesn't.
Right, and does it make my husband an addict? No, because he's not. He's an earthling. He is normal. He does different things to me. But for me to expect him to change and to say things that I want him to say is just as unrealistic for me to expect the same from him. I'm starting to learn in recovery that honesty is really a whole learning process and the best policy, and one of the toughest things I've had to learn because I've been lying for so long.
Mm-hmm. And you guys, we lie to ourselves first, of course, and so I think the first relationship that we need to fix, the other relationships get fixed because we're doing the next right thing. Are we going to apologize to the people that we lied to and hurt? Sure we are. Are we going to do our best to be as honest as we can from now on? Yeah. The people that we need to apologize a whole lot to is ourselves for keeping ourselves sick and scared and ashamed and not letting ourselves give back to the universe what has been given to us, right?
Yeah. So one of the, I'm all over social media. It's one of the things that I do because I'm curious and I like being out there. is that I notice that people are either considering, and this for me is really a big point, is in terms of the bariatric surgery, and it's something I keep coming back to because I think it's a big learning experience. People sit in groups and try and justify why doing the same thing before is going to help them end up with different results. And if we keep doing the same things, we end up in the same places. So who we associate with generally is a great reflection of who we are. So when we are doing the same and eating the same ways and using the same way and focusing all day on the food instead of living life and enjoying the moment, we're going to land up for a short period of time. We may lose the weight and we may be thinner, but you know what? That isn't a direct way of becoming happy. We may look good and we may have fabulous shopping experiences, but it doesn't shift us spiritually. And really the source of joy and freedom is a spiritual change, that being able to be in the moment.
Correct. And without that spiritual change, what we see, I'm a physician assistant, so what I see in my practice is that I have lots and lots of patients that have had bariatric surgery that come to have lost 100 pounds that come to see us after they've gained back their 120 pounds. And so why is that? That's because if I do what I did, I'm going to get what I have. And so the problem ain't the food, you guys. The problem is never the food. The problem is never what I'm picking up. The problem is always, why am I picking up? Why am I scared? Why am I afraid to be out there? What am I covering up? What feelings am I doing everything that I can do to change today? Whether it's with food or alcohol or sex or drugs or whatever it is, it doesn't matter. We're all, spiritually, we start out all the same. We're sick and we're scared. That's the truth. And we're lying to ourselves. So, in our relationships, as I said before, the first person that we're going to learn to be honest with is ourselves. First, I need to say, I have a problem. Okay. That doesn't make me bad or weak, or it's like, okay, I have the flu. Okay, that happened.
Right, I'm an addict.
Okay.
I'm an addict.
Okay.
No, it's not the end of the world
No,
to
it's
say
not.
that. It identifies me, and in my head, it makes me know that there's something to work on. So I will pick up different things to change how I feel, no matter what those things are. They can be people, they can be food, they can be anything. But the underlying thing is that I don't feel complete in myself, and I need to fill those holes. You know, there's that void somewhere there, no reason, just the way it is.
Which puts us back to the relationship part, because now we're in relationships with all these people, and I want these people to make me feel a certain way because I don't know how to feel. So I want them to make me feel a certain way. So I have these expectations of others and the role that they're going to play in my life so that I could feel good about myself or better about myself or not as scared or not alone, or instead of being honest with myself, taking a look at myself, learning how to grow spiritually in recovery. Recovery, you guys, we did the definition of recover yesterday in workshop. You know, I got to do this. Shout out to everybody in the workshop yesterday. Amazing. I walked around amazed yesterday at the strength and courage and tenacity and want to better themselves from these group of people that were in our workshop. And I can't thank you guys enough. I know that you guys are there for yourselves, but I can't thank you enough for being there, because it makes my recovery, first of all, it helps me in my recovery, but also it makes recovery in our recovery community such an amazing place to be. And so thank you, everybody, for their courage and their truth. And so we talked about the word recovery a little bit yesterday. We defined it, and to recover is to either go back to being well or to get even better, right? And so we want to go back to being well, to a time where we didn't have to lie to ourselves. You guys, you know, they say you're only as sick as your secrets. The lying keeps us guilty and ashamed, right? It doesn't feel good in our gut, right? So we walk around feeling like caca all the time when we're lying. And when we're in active addiction, we're lying to ourselves all the time. Then we put down our drug of choice, no matter what that is. Now we're clean. We're still lying to ourselves. We're clean a little bit. And so we need to step into some kind of recovery to learn what it is about our thinking and our feelings that need to change so that we can live happy, so that I can stop depending on you for my own opinion of me, so that I could have acceptance of the things that I can't change, so that I can understand that I'm not the center of the universe and that what I say isn't so important. And if I show up with the wrong shirt on or my fingernails aren't perfectly polished, that you guys aren't going to be talking about it for the next 6 months because I just am not that important. You know, the importance that we give ourselves is ridiculous.
And also that I'm okay with it, because if I'm okay with it, you're okay with it. You know, that's the bottom line. So if we're at that stage with ourselves and our relationship, because when you talk about the time when we carefree and we are in that space, I remember as a kid growing up in Africa, you know, I could spend hours on my own, watching clouds, playing on my own, being really happy and being in the moment. That's a feeling of being at absolute peace with the world. And it didn't matter what else was going on, it was just being in that moment and being happy. And then all the crap starts happening, and all the opinions and all the other stuff and all the stuff I tell myself and the rest of the journey. But going back to that space where we just feel content in ourselves and the world around us.
Yeah, and you guys remember, again, when I'm doing my best to do my best, the way that the world outside of me is turning is the way that the world outside of me is turning. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, because I'm doing my best to do my best, and I don't have control over the way that the world is turning, and I have no control of what your opinion of me is, nor is that my responsibility to have that control. So we're gonna go around the room and do the check-in?
Yeah, in a quick sec, I just want to give a quick shout out. You know, we wouldn't have this room to be in if we didn't have people who support our journey, and Trim Agency and General Provision. Shout out to you guys. You guys are awesome
Thank
for
you
giving
so
us
much, you
this
guys.
room and this opportunity. And also, if you are getting something out of this, just give us a shout out. If you're on Facebook, we'd love to see a little bit of love. Give us the like or a heart or something so we
Share
know
the
that you're out
meeting.
there. Share the meeting, and let's check in
All right,
or jump into the room.
or turn on your computer, so much easier. And push Zoom, and then you can get into the meeting. And join What's Eating You, so that you can have the code to go into Zoom to get into the
This is
meeting.
really complicated.
Not that complicated. It's complicated if you're an addict and you're making it complicated. Otherwise, it's pretty simple. And if you need any help, you can shoot an IM. And Angeli, thank you for your service, Angeli. Angeli will be happy to send you that information.
And also, it doesn't matter what you're wearing when you jump into our video. We just see this part of you, right?
Dawn, you want to check in? Good morning.
Good morning. You know, I was thinking as a couple of minutes ago, as Felice was talking, when I'm curious, when we identify our challenges and the things that we'd like to work on or change, does it matter why we have those challenges?
Sometimes. So sometimes, yeah, it does. Remember, if I have a challenge because it's raining, it doesn't really matter why, because it's raining, right? If I have a challenge with the fact that my boyfriend is breathing, I might want to find out why that is. You know what I mean? So it depends on how superficial and how absolute the challenge is. Remember, all of those challenges go back to me. If it's raining and I'm upset because it's raining, I don't have acceptance of something that's happening out in the world that I have absolutely no control over. If my boyfriend breathes and it upsets me, what is it about him that's upsetting me, and what is that that's inside of me that's looking at whatever that is? And so sometimes, like I said, things are superficial. I'm mad because somebody cut me off in traffic. Why? Nobody cares. It's done. The person that cut you off that you're screaming at, they don't care. Are you going to remember it in 3 months? Of course not.
Well, I'm meaning something a little more, like, as an example, if I am terrified of commitment, that's a challenge, a shortcoming.
Yes.
Now,
Well,
matter
yes.
why, or can I just change it without?
So that's not going to change without work. And remember, when we do, like in the workshop, we're working on ourselves, right? We're working on having a better understanding of ourselves, of where we came from, of why we feel the way that we feel, right? So we're not part of any A program here. And so our meetings are a bit different because we do have these meetings so that we can we cross-talk and we do talk about what we think the solution is, right? And so that solution is different. You're terrified of commitments. We can't wake up in the morning and say, hey, today I won't be terrified of a commitment, and just let that happen, right? We're gonna understand why. What did we go through? What are our schemas? How did we grow up? Why are we where we are? What's realistic? Remember, Events are events. The emotions that we keep attached to past events are the things that we work on, not the actual event. Somebody died, they died. That's never going to change. The emotion attached to that event can change. We can change our perspective about it, right? And so those are the things that we learn when we delve into our recovery more.
I'd like to also say something.
Thank you for asking that.
That's a great question, because we do learning experiences. I mean, really, that's why we do what we do in the workshops, because we learn from each other. You know, the way we look at the world is a little bit different, and I connect with you. It's more than an empathy, it's an identification. Like our journeys to the point of getting to where we are may be different, but our feelings are very much the same. So I get to learn from what you're going through, because those things become like challenges to me as well. You know, those things, when I look at it, some of them I identify with, some of them I go, well, I'm learning from how you dealt with it, and it's also an opportunity for growth. You know, if we keep doing the same thing that we're doing before, we land up in exactly the same place. So those questions are absolutely valid, and especially if they keep coming up, then it's a signal to us maybe we need to look at that in ourselves and get a solution on how to work with it. It could be therapy, workshops, whatever the story is, or
Yeah.
a combination of everything.
Yeah, and in the workshops, we kind of put all this stuff together, right? So our past experience is what we've learned, our education, you know what I mean? So where we are. So yeah, that was a really good question, because you know what, you guys, especially with me, I'm like, okay, this is the way that something happens, so change it. Right? So I make it sound like you flip on a switch and now, oh, I know how to be in a relationship today. Isn't that easy? Right? That was easy.
and
Don't
this-
happen like that.
This came up yesterday, actually. I was talking to a friend of mine, and I was saying, you know, my husband and I are working through different things, and I'm in acceptance. And she goes, but that sounds to me like you're in a cop-out. Like you're just waiting for him to do a lot of the work, which for me, in a way, is true, because I also shy away from that commitment thing. For me, it's a lot easier for me to step away.
So that's not acceptance.
Right, and what I'm saying is that was my excuse, but it's also a commitment issue, and that commitment also starts with myself. You know, when am I willing to take responsibility in the things that I'm doing and showing up the way that I am? So
Right.
that's my
That's
learning and my challenge that I'm working on.
Right. Good. Yeah, the other is a cop out.
Right.
I'm gonna let you fix it. It doesn't work like that. That's
There's
not
no magic
acceptance.
wand.
Right.
Okay.
No.
It's not the thing we sell at the workshops. Okay?
Good morning. Do you want to check in this morning?
Just glad to be here.
Okay, glad to see you.
Glad
We're glad
to
that
see
you're
you.
here. Karen is gone dark. Laura, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
How are you?
Laura.
She's fine.
Um,
Laura's
I'm
always
fine.
fine, you guys.
I'm tired.
Okay.
I'm tired. I didn't sleep well last night because I was in the group yesterday. The workshop was fantastic,
Yeah.
but I'm still having issues with like not feeling accountable for other people's feelings and for how they feel about me. And so something came up yesterday. I started thinking a lot about it after the meeting yesterday, and basically, I didn't sleep very well because I was spending a lot of time worrying about how someone else is going to respond to something that I have to say to them on Monday. And
Let me ask you a question. First of all, we don't even know if we're going to live till Monday. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. So you spent a sleepless night last night
Mhm.
worrying about something that may never happen. That's first of all. And I just want us to remember that. Does that make it better? No. But in reality, that's part of our reality as well. So you were scared and working on controlling the future.
Right.
And so, of course, that's what kept you scared. So remember, acceptance, right? Acceptance is the only way that we get through that. So I'm going to accept the fact that this is what I'm going to say. And remember, we're going to plan for the future, but we're still going to live in today. So yesterday, you didn't plan for the future. You lived in your fantasy of what the future might be, right? And you missed the movie. You missed a good night's sleep. Maybe you missed some time spent that you could have enjoyed reading or gardening or hanging out with your kids or whatever. And by the way, Laura, since, God bless you, you're a perfectionist. And for you, I know you learned something and you do it. Yesterday, we learned something in the workshop and you didn't stop banging on the table, Haiti says. and you didn't get all better?
Mhm, yeah.
Uh-oh, so,
Yeah.
so that happened, so you didn't get all better from the one
Yeah.
workshop yesterday. What you're talking about, the fact that it happens to every single one of us doesn't make it easier for you. So that I understand. Can you, give us a little bit more information so that we can have an idea of what you're talking about? Because we talk in abstracts, because we don't want people to know actually what we're going through, and that's okay. But if you could get a little bit more specific, maybe we could give you a little bit more help, unless you don't want to.
No, I mean, I have a friend who I've worked with for 20 years, and so she does some design work for us, and love her.
Mm-hmm.
But she's not giving us right now, like her aesthetic, just the way she does, is not working now.
Okay.
And so, yeah. So basically, I'm not sure that we can work with her on this project, and I'm just feeling really bad about it.
And, okay, and so that's understandable. It's somebody that you've known for a long time and you don't want them to be hurt, right? In the meantime, you need to do what you need to do. And so that's all you need to be is honest.
Mm-hmm.
Is it sucky? Yeah. Are you going to feel bad? Of course you are, you know? So, and all of those things are okay. But to let it take over your entire day, especially because there's nothing that you could do. You might say to her, since we're making stuff up, let's make stuff up. Okay? So the difference between faith and fear. You might have faith and say, wow, you know what? Thank you so much. You've been such an amazing and integral part of this business. Right now, what's going on is a little bit different, and I'm not sure if we're such a good fit right now. And I need to let you know that. Let's have a conversation about it. And she might say, I feel the same way.
Yeah, right.
Right? Or
Yeah.
she might say, she might get indignant and pissed off, and because you're hurting her, right? Fear. I'm afraid of losing what I have, right? Your fear, so remember, what you're feeling is fear-based, right? And that's why you stayed awake. So you're afraid of either losing the love and respect and caring of somebody that that you had that relationship with. And sometimes that stuff happens and there's not too much that we can do about it. You know, you can't financially support somebody because you feel like, you know, that's like taking on another kid, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you also, in business, that's why it's very hard to be friends with the people that you're in business with.
Yes.
And that's okay, but that's the way that it is, right? And so are you a human being with human emotions and feelings? Yeah. Can you fix this? No, you can't. And you know what, Laura? That's okay. The fact that you can't fix it and the fact that you're not in control of what happens always happens at the other end because of whatever it is that you have to do, that's the way that it is. I'm sorry that you're going through it because it's tough spot to be in.
Yeah.
And because you care.
Yeah.
Right? And so you care about your relationship with her. And so
Yeah.
to have that fear, you know, that's a normal fear because I'm afraid of losing somebody's love, respect, or friendship, right? And that's a normal fear to have. I'll ask you to think about it that way and to understand that we don't know what's going to happen on the other side, right?
Okay.
So if we're going to make stuff up, we might as well make good stuff up and then be disappointed as
Right.
opposed to making bad stuff up, right? Because it's a fantasy that we're having. We're making it up, right? So if
Yeah.
you're gonna have a fantasy about it, why don't you have a good one? Have a fantasy that she's gonna understand that everything's gonna go well, or that she's gonna say, how do I change what I'm doing? Can we work on that together?
Okay.
Instead of her just being angry. Maybe she's not gonna be angry at all,
Okay.
okay? You guys, having faith doesn't mean that everything's gonna work out okay. Having faith means I understand that the world is turning the way that it's turning, and that's all I could do is my best to do my best. Having faith doesn't mean if I pray, Grandpa's not gonna die. To me. Having faith doesn't mean that my grandfather's not gonna die. It means that if Grandpa dies, if the universe turns the way that it's turning and Grandpa dies, I'm gonna have a choice as to how to look at it after I get over the grief.
Yeah.
Right? And that, there's nothing I can do to change the way that the universe is turning. So thanks for sharing that, Laura. And I know that for you, not being perfect is really hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so hurting somebody's feelings is not being perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, and something you can't fix. Yes.
And I just want to tell you, I relate so much to you. I don't know why I've got this affinity, but I absolutely do. I'm also that perfectionist, like A-type personality, and work is really important to me. But I'm learning, there are a couple of things. One is I have so many conversations in my head that never materialize the way that they do. And I spend time planning and thinking them and playing them out. And when I arrive at that person, I either don't say the things I'm meant to say, or
Right.
they don't react the way that I want them to, or something happens and I've lost sleepless nights over it. And that's just the way that I've worked, and I'm working on it. But also, I'm starting to learn that when I show up, I've got a couple of core things that are really important to me. Kindness, compassion, and being loving. Those things are like really, and the honesty part is like really some of the core things. So if I show up with that intention of being kind, compassionate, loving, and honest, my intentions are good, and I'm showing up and doing the best that I possibly can do without being malicious or spiteful or vengeful or anything. And how that person takes it, I still love them irrespective,
Right.
and I can't control that.
Yeah, and so we talked about that in the workshop yesterday as well, about, when we're doing our best to do our best, whatever happens on the other side happens.
Mhm.
But that's all we're responsible for, is being honest and doing our best to do our best. That's all that we can be responsible for. Because what you're thinking in your head is, how is it gonna go? Is there any way that you could tweak it or change it, and no matter how much you think about it, what's gonna happen is gonna happen.
Okay.
Right? Just be kind as you're doing it. I believe that it is our responsibility to put it out there as kindly as we can. I believe that that's us being part of being of service. And the chips are going to fall where they do. Chips, I meant like poker chips, not like potato chips. Are going to fall where they do.
Not the veggie chips.
No, not those either. But thanks for sharing. It's hard, Laura, and you're not using.
Yeah,
So it's
I'm
not
using-
even like,
okay.
oh, okay, well, I'm gonna have this problem on Monday, so let me go, eat 73 Oreos and go
Right.
into a coma until then, right? We're
Yeah.
not doing that. I'm not eating 100 milligrams of oxycodone so that I can think about it Monday instead of today.
Yeah.
And also it's an opportunity for growth. In business, we grow as much as we do personally as well. And all of these, I honestly believe, are opportunities for growth. And you never know what the outcome is.
Yeah, and for you, because you're new in recovery, you're new on working on your recovery, which I commend you for, by the way. What you are gonna see is that something like this will come up, you will deal with it without using, and the universe doesn't explode. And that whatever it is, whatever happened at the end, you're gonna be okay to deal with that. And the universe will turn the way that it does, and then you'll work on something else.
Okay. True.
So, yeah, so, and did you reach out to anyone in your community last night?
No,
say
I
I'm
didn't,
struggling?
because I was up all night. Like I was, in the middle of the night.
I'm up all night, in the middle of the night, all the time.
Okay, good.
This
All
one,
right.
her phone beeps like so quietly, boop, she's up and happy to answer any challenge that you have. I'm not kidding.
Okay.
So, yeah, you can always reach out. Sometimes just the reaching out, even if nobody responds, sometimes just getting it out of your head helps a little bit.
Okay.
Putting it down on text or whatever. And knowing that someone is gonna be there, whether it's right this second or in a couple of hours, to help you out, might be helpful. You could try it. It's helpful for me.
And also, people come from different experiences and different backgrounds. And sometimes when I struggle with something, someone comes up with a solution that's so simple that I never thought about. Like, we've been sitting on the most uncomfortable chairs ever since we've been here. And someone mentioned that maybe there are other chairs in their place, and we found them. So, sometimes just putting it out there, you may or you may not get the response, but at least you never know. It could surprise you.
Yeah, and your thing right now, the answer is gonna be acceptance. Accepting the fact that this is what's happening, that you're gonna put it out there as kindly as you can, and that she's gonna act or react the way that she does, and that there's nothing that you can do. No matter how long you think about it or what you're gonna say, or if I say it this way, and maybe if I do this, and if I show up like this, doesn't matter, right? Show up, be kind, and whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen. That's scary, man. Fear of the unknown. We all have it, right?
So I'm pleased that you mentioned community, because I speak a lot in the beginning. On Facebook, we've got a closed group. So anyone who's a member, you've got to become a member. What's discussed in there is only seen by the membership. There are 2 questions that you answer. and only people who answer those questions get in. They're not difficult, and you don't need a degree to go through them, and they don't take a long time. But this is where we share. This is where we go. We post our gratitude list. We share what's on our mind. We either take it out of our head, get feedback, whatever the story is. They're learning opportunities, but that is our community. We have people who join us from all around the world. So there's always someone available, even if they give you a thumbs up or thumbs whatever or a flower, whatever, you know someone's listening. So we really are not alone, and that's the core of our community.
Yeah, so community is community, you guys. So, and thank you for being a part of ours. Thanks, Laura. Miss Karen, you want to check in?
We can't
We
hear you.
can't hear you. You're still muted, hon.
Okay, good morning.
Oh,
I'm doing well. I don't really have a whole lot to share this morning.
Okay.
Rosie and I are outside enjoying a beautiful morning, so we're just kind of chilling, listening to the meeting and taking a lot away from it as always.
Awesome. It's really, really good to see. We could hear the birds chirping in the background. That's like really
Okay.
cool. Yeah, really
Yeah.
cool. And thanks so much for being a part of the workshop yesterday. Really intense workshop, right?
It is, and I'm getting so much out of it.
Yeah.
It's really the answer to what I'm dealing with.
Yeah, and I just need to say, and you know I don't blow smoke up people's skirts or whatever we say, but the change in you from where you were to where you are, I know this is your second workshop, but it's amazing. Amazing. And actually
Thank
the
you.
train is coming right through because we're all blown away. You know, it's like a freight train right through you. And now,
Yeah.
no, thank you.
And I would love to
Thank
say
you.
something. Karen's one of those people that steps into service as well. And she mentioned something. I mean, she's mentioned something about service, and it came up yesterday. You know, we're a grassroots community, and for us, giving back is really very important. We have people who step into service, Dawn, Ahmed, Anjali, Jess, like there's so many people that step into service to pay the gifts of recovery forward, and that's really what it is. The things that we post are not necessarily the only opportunities and the only way to do it. We are not the final say. If you got any ideas or suggestions to be of service and to help get the message out, let us know. Post it up. If you got any suggestions, post it up. If you want to sign up for something, sign up. None of us are going to monitor what you're doing when you're in service. We don't have a service
we get
committee,
paid for
okay?
service.
You're not going to get demerits, okay? This is the stuff that we get feeling really good when we do nice things. What reaching out to someone else makes me feel good on the inside, and that's the bottom line. It makes me happy.
So funny, you said you're not gonna get demerits. I said, I'm not gonna get an A? Perspective. Thank you. Good morning, Liz.
Morning.
Good to see you.
Thanks.
How are you today?
I'm doing okay. So you guys know I'm not in the workshop, so I'm kind of trying to do my own self-work while I'm trying to patiently wait for the next one to start.
Good, good. And we're gonna have another workshop pretty soon, so.
Okay.
Yeah, we
So-
just, sorry.
One of the things that I've been working on this week, and it's funny because you said something about how we shouldn't be looking to others, to other people to make us feel better. And so I'm not doing that. I'm doing a lot of self-reflection, and I'm asking myself a lot of questions. So the questions for this week for myself is, why do I want to pick up when I get home from work? As soon as I walk in the door, why do I want to pick up? Or why do I want to pick up when I'm in the car? And my addiction is food. I want to eat all the time. Why do I want to eat or pick up when I'm at my desk in the office? Or, why, when I'm alone, do I want to pick up? And so I ask these other questions. Am I doing it because I'm bored? Am I doing it because I'm sad or tired or, all of those things? And my biggest theme my answer to these questions is I'm doing it because I'm lonely. And
Okay.
I'm realizing that I don't know how to be by myself and feel comfortable being by myself. And I don't quite understand why, because I didn't have anything traumatic happen to me when I was a child. I wasn't abandoned or any of those things. So I'm trying to figure that out for myself, and at least I can kind of pinpoint the why. I just
Okay,
can't
Liz,
figure out how to change it so that I
okay,
can
Liz,
move forward.
your first answer to why is because you're an addict. That's your first answer to why, because remember, there are other people when they're lonely or scared or hungry or tired or whatever that don't pick up. They're not addicts, and they're not used to doing whatever it is that they need to do to change their brain chemistry so that they don't have to feel how they're feeling, whether it's happy, sad, whatever kind of emotion it is. Also, the stuff that you're talking about, when you're talking about abstinence in the beginning, when I get into my car, I use. If that's a place that you've always used, you're gonna wanna use when you get into your car. When I'm home by myself, I drank by myself. I used by myself. Whatever. People, you have certain behaviors that are behaviors that you've been doing. The behavior part, not the thinking part, but the behavior part. Those behaviors are gonna take a while. They say it takes 90 days to form a habit. So probably takes a whole lot of those days for your brain to start thinking of having a different habit, like not picking up. Like when I feel like using, to reach out to somebody, to have an accountability buddy, to give somebody your 15 seconds of your challenge so perhaps they can help you step into the solution. You're not alone. Liz, you're right here. Everybody in this room, and of the 2,000 people that are gonna watch this cast today, just about everybody's felt how you're feeling. Everybody, and I would imagine 94% of us are able and willing to be on the other side of conversation with you. And the stuff that you're sharing right now is stuff that everybody feels. We all do. How many people are in a certain place or a certain position and say, shit, it's Tuesday, I'm having the best day I've ever had, and this is happening, and I feel like using anyway. It still happens, we're addicts. I'm gonna tell you, a friend of mine, he's got 23 years clean, and a couple of years ago, we walked into a restaurant to pick up dinner, and we had how you have to go by the bar to pick up dinner, and he's a cokehead, so he was an alcoholic, and he said, I can taste the beer in the back of my throat. This is 20 years after being clean. So does that completely go away? No. Does it get better? Yes. Do we stay with that obsession? No. Right now, Liz, have you learned any other way? No. Right? And so it's going to be about you learning. First of all, why am I feeling what I'm feeling, which is what you said, which was awesome. You said I'm feeling lonely. I'm sorry, by the way, that you're feeling lonely. Those things can be worked on. The behavior is just the behavior. So first, when you feel like using, instead of torturing yourself and telling yourself, because for me, my go-to is, I can't believe what a piece of shit addict I am. My therapist is like, if you ever use that phrase, piece of shit addict again, she's like, you would never call anyone a piece of shit addict. Why do you call yourself a piece of shit addict? So for me, it's learning to get rid of that shame, which allows me to call myself a piece of shit addict. Allowing myself to get out of this victim mode. Why is this happening to me? Well, it's happening. No matter what it is, it's happening. How do I step into the solution is the biggest part. So I have a challenge. How do I step into the solution? And that's the part, Liz, that you're gonna learn. First way you step into the solution is doing exactly what you just did. Was to say, it's Tuesday at 3 o'clock and I wanna use it, I'm feeling lonely. That's the first way. Well, actually, the very first way is to say, I'm an addict, which you've already done. You've already said my drug of choice is food, which makes you an addict, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so good you. That's your honesty part. Your life is unmanageable when you use? Yes. Right?
Yes.
Did you have surgery?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna let you speak, Katie. Katie's jumping out of her
I'm
chair.
jumping out of
so
my chair.
let me let her speak.
So I just wanted to also say a couple of things. One is when I first stepped into recovery, I'm an addict. My addiction speaks to me in my voice. So the panic kind of set in. It wanted me to keep using, and that's really the space that I started sitting in, is that became all these why. Why am I doing this? So I could justify picking up, became all the questions in the beginning. And And that is the way that it works. We panic because it's the only thing I knew how to cope with things, whether I was bored or lonely.
Or how
You
not
see?
to cope with things.
Or how not to cope with things.
things.
And also, my life was in a tiz because I'd had the surgery and I couldn't do some of the things that I was doing before, and I was really frustrated where I was as well because I couldn't eat the things that I normally could eat. In fact, I couldn't chew a thing. I was drinking things for the first couple of weeks, and it was driving me insane besides dealing with the feelings that I was feeling. The other thing is being able to speak out. So at 4 o'clock in the afternoon when I am struggling, I try to post in What's Eating You to say, I'm pissed off, I'm bored, and whatever it is, either I just need to put this out there or this is an SOS, I need someone to contact me and just reply and say that you heard me. But that's also one of the things, is to start speaking out when those feelings start coming up. So at least we can get them out of our head, because I'm that a compulsive obsessive, and it goes round and it goes round and it goes round, and I can't let it go unless I let it out. And that's why the community is so important. But what you're going through, I went through.
We all went through. Every single one of us went through. Does that make yours easier, Liz? Of course not.
I was one of the I thought I was the loneliest person on the planet. I didn't have real friends. I mean, I really was so lonely, and the friends that I had were so superficial. You know, I've got a couple of really good friends, but I can count them on a couple of fingers. But the really good friends that I made have been in recovery because we have a different type of relationship. I know people here love me and condition me, and that for me is huge.
Yeah, and so you're already doing what it is that you're already doing what it is that you can be doing to better yourself. And then I'm gonna challenge you not to pick up, because remember in the beginning, if I'm using my drug of choice, as long as I'm touching sugars, that dopamine receptor, as long as I'm firing that dopamine receptor, I'm going to have that obsession. I'm going to have that craving, and I'm going to have that obsession, and it's going to be the biggest part of my head. You know, how can I get this? When can I do this? How come I want to do this? As opposed to being able to look at myself, which is what you're doing now. You are looking at yourself. I don't know if you're picking up. Are you picking up?
No.
So you're 0, rice, bread, potato, pasta, sweets, 0, no matter what color.
Correct.
Good, awesome. So that makes it hard. It makes it harder, especially in the
And I'm
beginning.
pissed off about it.
Of course you are. We're all pissed off about it. You know, my therapist said to me, if you could use without consequence, would you use? And I'm like, duh, of course I would. You know, I thought I felt better, but actually I felt detached, which for me felt better than it felt when I have to be here and raw and feeling and dealing with life and doing my best to do my best and to better myself. So are you pissed off? Yeah, we all are. We all are at some point. Does the pissed off get easier? Absolutely. Does the thinking about it get less and less? Yeah, it does. When we're using, that's all we think about. Our dilemma is the using, right? So it doesn't allow us to take a look at our why. Now that you're not using, you're going to have a chance to take a look at the why. What's driving? What feelings do I have? What's driving my behavior? And that's how you're going to get well, Liz. So thank you for sharing that, because what you just shared is what every single person is going through. And so I don't know if we've helped you today, but your sharing that's probably helped a bunch of other people. So thank you.
Thank
And
you.
Thank you
Liz,
for being
you
of
are
service.
awesome. You are so courageous. You just jumped into this whole process.
Not happy, by the
No,
way.
not happy.
That Felice girl said some things that you weren't real happy about. I remember that.
But I'm very proud of you. I just want you to know that.
Yeah, good job. Good job. It's warm in here. Angeli.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you this morning?
Great. I would like to read a Facebook question.
Thank you.
So, Lisa Ann says, my son died 6 months ago and I've fallen back into emotional eating. I need help. I had the sleeve surgery in 2014 and lost 500 pounds and I've regained about 70. Help me.
Okay. So I'm going to say to you first that I'm so sorry for your loss. There's not a whole lot that we're going to talk about the death of a child. My 17-year-old son died in an accident some time ago. And do I know what you're going through? No. Did I feel maybe some of the same stuff that you are? Yeah. Was I the straightest person on the planet before it happened? Yeah, I was. So how you're dealing with it as an addict or not dealing with it as an addict is understandable. You know, people say to me, is it normal? Well, it's not normal. It's just understandable. I'm going to, for me, without being, I'm just going to say, you know, for me, without being in therapy, I never would have been okay. I never would have been able to put down whatever it was I was using to take care of that pain, because the pain was so unimaginable that, first of all, I didn't give a shit. That's first of all. But second of all, I didn't really think that there was any reason for me to better myself because I was too sad. And so to work through that sadness and to ultimately understand that what happened didn't happen to me, it happened. And as horrifying as it is, and as much as it tilts our world, I'm gonna let you know that there's a chance to get better, because I got better. So there's a chance to get better. Is that gonna happen overnight? Absolutely not. Is what happened devastating? I don't even have words, and I've been there. And I don't even have words for you except that I'm so sorry for your loss. See a therapist, because without seeing a therapist, and I did a whole lot of stuff, so I did a whole lot of recovery stuff, but without therapy and recovery, I'd be dead right now. And that's my reality. So I'm sorry for where you are. And my hope is that, you know, reach out to the community. We know that picking up just prolongs the pain, which of course, after the death of a child, we want to prolong that pain as long as possible, because the pain is, like I said, unimaginable to deal with. And so I'm really sorry. I wish you the best. You could go ahead and IM me, and I can give you some information about some therapists if you want, that deal with post-traumatic stress, which is, you know, everyone's got PTSD after their kid dies, just the way that it is, and that deals with recovery as well. So thank you for sharing that. Again, we're all crazy sorry about your loss, like really, really sorry about your loss. And IM me if there's anything that I can help you with. And that's all that we're gonna say about that.
Right.
Yeah. Anything else? Any other questions?
Um,
Ahmed?
Me?
Yeah.
Um,
Sorry, Ninja.
Not a question. It's just I realized during this whole process from where I started, I was battling my own demons and fears and ego, and I wouldn't say I'm much of a addict to marijuana. I would say I just had to figure out my own truth and move on forward with my life in terms of ending either an abusive relationship or understanding where my priorities lie in things. And for a while, I was making good steps and progress, and then like any other addict, anything, you fall back in that loop, and then you start to see certain things, the way you're acting about certain things, and just you're actually changing, and you feel like you start to hurt other people and things like that. And I just want to say, recently I just came to peace with a lot of things, and it feels good. It feels good to know that, you know, I have this community here. I have family. I have people that really care for me and listen to me in terms of moving forward with things, and it feels good. It feels good to once you make that step and you face your fear and you say this is it, and you put it down. It feels good. It feels good once it's not as bad as it seems at first. When you look at your fear, it's big, and you're not sure about a whole lot of things. But once you face it, it's smaller than you think it was. It's not as big. It's not as bad as
Yeah.
you think it is.
Thank you for sharing that. And with a lot of things we do make bigger in our heads, and then some things are just real big. You know, some things that happen are life-changing, and we need to get help through those as well. And then some of the fears that we have, we realize once we work through them, that they weren't realistic fears. Again, it's the story we're telling ourselves, not what's really happening, right? And when we're stuck in fear, we act differently than when we're walking around with some faith, knowing that I don't have control over the universe, right?
Yes.
And so thanks for sharing that. Do we have setbacks? Yeah, of course, we're all going to have some type of emotional setbacks. Doesn't mean we have to use. No, you guys, relapse sucks, man. Been there, sucks. So do we have to use? Do we have to relapse? You know, some people say that, by the way, too. And I've relapsed. You know, relapse is a part of recovery. No, it's not. Recovery is a part of recovery. Some of us relapse for whatever reason, and then hopefully we get back into recovery and move forward. But relapse doesn't have to be your story just because it's our story. Doesn't have to be your story. If it is part of your story, okay, that happened, right? Okay, move forward.
Exactly.
Don't stay stuck there too long, because the longer you stay stuck in the shame of your relapse, the less apt I think we are to step back into a recovery community and get clean.
So, you know, one of the journeys that we found and that we've been through is that we came up with an experience that deals with that compulsive obsessive behavior and thinking. I mean, really, that's what it is. When those of us that suffer from that compulsive obsessive thought is really when we've got a program, it makes it a lot easier. And that's one of the things that we do in the workshop, because a lot of people either cross addict or use the thinking, and they get scared and that fear creeps in and becomes all chaotic. The stuff that we do helps us cope with life. I mean, facing those fears, working through them, being in community, all those great tools. Practicing gratitude, which is another big thing that we talk about, is, you know, we do our gratitude lists every single day. We share them on our community in Facebook, the What's Eating You community. 3 things we're grateful for every single day, and our strength for the day. We show gratitude in action in service, because that also helps take us out of our heads. So we're able to share with others. And also for those couple of seconds, we're not thinking about ourselves.
Right.
You know, for those couple of seconds, we're contributing to a greater whatever it is. Good, whatever it is. It's just something out there. We're just being of service. And that's amazing, because sometimes I read other people's gratitudes and I go, I never thought of that. Or that is so awesome. And it always makes me feel good on the inside. I mean, I've never walked away from reading a gratitude or posting a gratitude feeling worse. You know what I'm saying?
And it's so funny because so many people fight against doing a gratitude list, which is just so silly. Gratitude begets gratitude. So we know when we change our perspective, it helps to change our actions, right? The only thing, you know, we're always going to be addicts, but we don't always have to act with addictive behavior. Right? Are we ever going to be cured? I wake up one day and I get to have a drink on Saturday. That ain't happening.
They're not coming up with a
It's
magic
not
bullet.
happening. I'm telling you, it's not happening. But do I have to live with that chaos? No, I don't. Am I going to be, you know, oh, okay, today I'm in recovery and I'm going to be happy for the rest of my life? No, that's not going to happen either. I'm still a human being. Things are still going to come up that I need to deal with. Hopefully, when I have a challenge, I don't stay there as long as I used to before, that I do reach out and that I do get some help and that I stay connected to community, because I know in the community there are people that are actually interested in what's going on, because we're doing what we're doing for the better. All of us in the community are doing what we're doing. Ultimately, our hope is for the betterment of the community.
So today we've been discussing relationships, and it really comes down to the core relationship at the basis of everything is ourselves. You know, it's establishing that relationship with ourselves that's based in honesty, that we're able to get the tools and techniques that we need to be able to be happy and healthy at the end of the day, staying in community and doing those things that make us happy so we can be happy. And the way other people react, or the way other people show up, is on them. So my greatest learning in recovery is losing that codependency. You know, for me, that's my journey. Everyone has a different journey, but it's great me not feeling that responsible and having that weight on my shoulders of every single day of how other people are going to react by the things that I say, because I've got no clue what they're going to do. But I do know one thing, there are 2 things I can do. I can change my reaction and I can change my perspective, and those are the only 2 things I've got control over.
Correct, and that we talk about all the time, right? You guys, our perspective and our actions, that's it. That's all I'm responsible for. I'm not responsible for yours.
And your thoughts.
Right, well, that's our perspective, so thank you. Yeah, our thoughts, which is the way, perspective is just the way we look at stuff. So that's our thoughts, thank you, and our own actions.
And we're going to post a new workshop date. We've got 2 workshops. One is going to be a 1-day intensive, why, it's just an overview of, am I an addict? Right, and the other one is going to be our intensive workshop, which is really working through our experiences to be able to get the tools and techniques and really understand ourselves better. And we'll post that on Facebook, on Google Plus, on YouTube, all over.
And I'm gonna read from the,
Sorry, one last thing.
One last thing.
Please look at our YouTube channel, subscribe. Our goal is to get the message out there. No one should be suffering and living in pain as an addict. If we've got 1,000 subscribers, we can monetize that channel and get more people into the message and spread the feelings of hope. and
Spread the
courage.
love, man.
Spread the love.
You're right, get well together. I'm gonna read the promises from the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. If we are painstaking about this phase of our development, we will be amazed before we are halfway through. We are going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. We will not regret the past, nor wish to shut the door on it. We will comprehend the word serenity, and we will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and of economic insecurity will leave us. We will intuitively know how to handle situations that used to baffle us. We will suddenly realize that the universe does for us what we can't do for ourselves. Are these extravagant promises? We don't think so. They're being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly and sometimes slowly, but they do always materialize if we work for them, operative phrase in that sentence. I'm blessed and grateful to be in recovery. I'm Felice Cellini. This was our Why Wait for Recovery Sunday morning community meeting. Thank you so much for being here with us and for being a part of my recovery.
So for everyone who joined us virtually, our newcomers who we didn't get to, unfortunately we only have an hour. Our meeting continues on Facebook in What's Eating You. Welcome to our group, and my name is Haiti, and if no one has told you today that they love you, I love you, and we will see you again on Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You guys are awesome. Peace out, everybody.
Peace out. Recovery's awesome, you guys.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye. Love you.
So we have somebody up there that says Galaxy S9, and can you help them? And I'm not sure of what your name is, and I can't see you, and I don't want to call you Galaxy S9.